Welcome everyone to the GP4 OC channel, and for the first round of the 2014 GP4 Offline Championship, I'm your commentator for today, Georgia, and welcome to round 1, the Australian Grand Prix at the Melbourne Street Circuit. I am very much looking forward to this. I hope you guys are as well. So for 2014, obviously this season will be hosted on the GP4 OC channel, just created. All live streams, however, will still be streamed on Yuri's channel, year 1, 2, 3. As well as DTM on Dioka's channel, and the Formula E series on the Formula E channel. But anyway, that's not important. What is important is the first race of the season here at the Albert Park Street Circuit. 58 laps, 16 corners, the lap record being set by Alex Southgate back in 2009. As we look at some action going around the circuit, this is a battle between Volker and Joseph Willows back in 2008. As we head down towards the back straight, the battle between, or I should say the takeout of NELLER of the reigning champion at the time, Viggo Holst, in 2013. As we head down towards past the golf course, into the fast left, through the fast right. As we looked at this was a battle between the two Saubers, which happened all race between Glazebrook and KIROSHIMA de ROSSA, as they come through the right-hander. As we go towards the end of the lap, the tyre compound being used for this race will be the super soft tyres. And as we come around to the rest of the lap, we will now take a look at the grid for the first race of the season. So on the front row of the grid is the two Mercedes drivers of Jay McKenzie and WAIS, with McKenzie beating KUBA by 2/10 in qualifying. On row 2 is Robert Ionescu for Red Bull and Will Neller in 4th place for Williams. On the third row of the grid, we have Roman Quag for Williams and VEDRINA for McLaren in 6th. Moving further down the order, we have Florian Volker in 7th and MIKLOS in 8th position. Onto the 5th row of the grid, we have Armand Carr for Force India and Alex Southgate for McLaren. Further down, in 11th place I should say, is Ricky Harkness for Force India and David Greenwood for Lotus. 13th place is Joseph Willows, a poor qualifying by his standards, with KIROSHIMA de ROSSA 14th for Lotus. 15th place is Robert Hunter making his debut, with Ricky and 16th for Sauber. 17th place is Oliver Glazebrook, followed by Franco Lopez on his debut for Marussia. Onto the 10th row of the grid is Franco Gamba for Toro Rosso, with Julius Anderson 20th for Caterham making his debut, with Roberto Gamba for Marussia, cousin of Franco Gamba, in 21st, and Cameron Anderson in last place for Caterham making his debut. So that is the grid, and as you can see, the track will be dry, the sky cloudy, and there will be a 0% chance of rain for this race. So let's get this show on the road, shall we? So here we are on the grid. McKenzie on pole, KUBA in second. Who is going to get the jump down into turn 1? It's a longish run to the first corner. The lights are about to come on. We now have 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, and now we have 5 lights. And the 2014 season is underway, and who is going to get the jump into the first corner? It looks like McKenzie's made a good start. Whoa, Neller's made an even better start from the second row. McKenzie's going to take the lead into the first corner. And Neller looks like, I think he might have gone into second place, and has he done so? And yes, he has. Neller is up into second, and it's side by side between Ionescu and KUBA for third place as they head into turn 3. Has Ionescu got the move done? And the answer is yes, he has. He moves up into third place. Not a good start for KUBA, as there's Quag in 5th place. As we're coming now down to the first sector of the lap, it's McKenzie first, Neller in second, Ionescu third, KUBA 4th, Quag 5th, VEDRINA 6th, Volker 7th, Carr 8th. Willows made a great start up into 9th, with Ricky Harkness completing the points with Gowles, Southgate, Hunter, Yan, Greenwood, Glazebrook, Gamba, Lopez, Roberto Gamba, de ROSSA, and the 2 Andersons at the back of the grid. So a great start by McKenzie and a great start by Neller as well, but a bad start for KUBA, who's dropped down 2 positions. That's not something that he'll like at all. As we're looking at Roman Quag, who's already under pressure from VEDRINA in the McLaren, as they're coming through the fast left, through the fast right. He's going to have the slipstream coming onto the back straight, and is he going to try and make a move coming down into the double right-hander? Is he going to make a move for VEDRINA, trying to make a move on the inside? Quag defends, and he can't quite do it as Volker has melee contact. Volker's off already. He's made contact with Armand Carr. Williams has snuck through round the outside, and Volker is already off, as we're going to take a look at the replay. And you can see there was the contact there. Carr shoves Volker off the road, and Williams takes the punch and says thanks very much, and moves up into 7th. What a start he's had. Started down in 13th, and he's already up to 7th. So he's already up 6 places. And here, and there was even more contact further back. This was MIKLOS and Ricky Harkness, and Harkness dropped all the way down to last position by the looks of it. And indeed he has. And we're looking at another replay involving Cameron Anderson and KIROSHIMA de Rossa, and Anderson was on the inside. He made the move stick, and de Rossa actually went wide and lost a bit of his front wing. And de Rossa, sadly, is going to have to go into the pits for it. He's fortunate enough that he's close to it. And now here's a battle between VEDRINA and the Williams of Roman Quag coming down into the first corner. And VEDRINA has made the move stick. He's up into 5th position. And now Willius could take advantage. He's got a great run at the first corner, and Quag has got a poor exit. And now Willius is going to try and make a move. Quag defends. He can't quite do it there, so I'll have to wait. The next opportunity probably just before the back straight. So we're looking at Robert Hunter in 11th. There's Greenwood 13th, Glacier 14th. Defending from Franco Gamba in the Toro Rosso. There's Roberto Gamba, and Volker trying to make his way through past the two Caterhams, the two Andersons, with Cameron in ahead of Julius. And we're looking at Amarkar, who's now right behind the back of Joseph Williams. He's now going to try and make a move, coming into the same place he did with Volker. He's on the inside, and oh my word, there's contact, and both cars have lost their front wings, and they're both going to have to go into the pits. What a disastrous start it has been for Ferrari in the Australian Grand Prix, and particularly for Amarkar as well. Oh my goodness me, and now they're both going to have to go over the pits, and that is going to ruin their race. Let's have a look on board. So the car tried the same thing that Volker did, and he was on the inside. It was probably a little bit of a late move, and then they lost their front wings. They were lucky not to get any more damage than that, to be honest, because it was a fairly hefty impact, but they fortunately, I think, just about got away with it. And wow, look at the air that they get. I'm surprised that neither car got any more damage than that, to be honest, but they've been lucky enough that they haven't. But they're both going to have to go into the pits, so that is not a good start for both Ferraris or for Amarkar, as Williams goes on the grass to let some of the other cars go through. As we're looking at Rick Yan running in 10th place, right behind the Toro Rosso of Robert Hunter. Coming on to the back straight, Jan's made a great start so far in the Sauber. He's going to be right behind Hunter. He's going to make a move into the first corner. Hunter defends, he moves, but then Jan does the switchback, and he's on the inside, and oh, he makes contact with Hunter, and luckily he doesn't spin, but he's going to get a poor run off the corner. We're going to have another look at the replay. So you can see he was getting the slipstream, and Hunter made a move to the inside, and then as he moved back, Jan tried to make a move for the inside, but Hunter saw it coming. Just about at the last minute, and then coming into the corner where their contact was right about there. Not quite there. It was. There was the contact, and Jan was lucky that he didn't spin, but now he's going to allow David Greenwood to catch up to him. Now here's the battle for P6 between Roman Quag and MIKLOS Gao, as Gao tries to make a move on the inside. He can't quite do it there. He's going to have to wait until the back straight, although he's got a poor run off the corner as Quag, and Gao tries to make it on the inside. Can't quite do it. He defends as he comes through the right-hander, coming through into the penultimate corner, heading now down towards the front straight. So they come through, Quag running in 6th, Gal in 7th, trying to recover position after having that slight collision with Ricky Harkisane on the first lap, and he's now surely going to have the move done as they're coming now down to the front straight. Side by side, Gal's on the inside. Has he got the move done? Maybe not quite yet, still side by side between the two. MIKLOS Gal, he's on the right side of Quag now, so surely he'll have the move done coming into turn 3, and the answer is yes, he does. He moves up into 6th position. Good move there by the Hungarian driver past Roman Quag. Goes a little bit wide there, gets a little bit out of shape. We're looking at Florian Volker trying to attack Ricky Harkisane in the Force India, and oh, there's more contact, and Volker's around again. Oh dear me, and Harkisane's gone way off and has lost his front wing. It's a disaster for both Force India and Ferrari so far this race. Oh dear me. And it's not gone very well for them at all. Harkisane goes wide and loses his front wing, and he just avoids the car from going into the barriers there. He was very lucky indeed. But unfortunately for him, he'll have to pit for a new front wing, as here's Roberto Gamba trying to make a move on the inside of his... Oh, he made contact. I think that's with his cousin, Franco Gamba there. And I think he just about made the move stick as we're looking on board with Will NELLER, who's set to make his first pit stop of the race on lap 11. It's relatively early, so I imagine it will probably be a 3-stop. Hence why NELLER had some good pace as he comes now down into the pits for the first time. The first legit pit stop, you could say, of the season. Still actually yet to have any retirements so far, which is quite fortunate. We've had quite a few collisions so far, so it has been a bit lucky that there hasn't been any collisions. But anyway, we look at Will NELLER. How long is this stop going to be? 17 laps of fuel, 8.1 seconds, and out he comes. And I think that was Caterham who are getting ready for their driver to come into the pits. So NELLER comes out in, where did he come out? He's going to come out in P6. He's actually going to come out just ahead of his teammate Roman Quag. As he comes into the first corner, NELLER will need to get in front if he wants to stay up with Mackenzie up front. And he does indeed just stay in front of his teammate, and I'll probably ask Quag not to move ahead. Now into the pits comes Rick Yan for Sauber. He's had a great start to the season, so he's had a great, I suppose, start to the race, I should say, so far. And Roberto Gamba is also the cousin of Franco, set to come in as well on the same lap. As Yan comes into the pits, changes his tyres, 18 laps of fuel, so probably around the lap 30 mark, maybe slightly later he'll probably pit. As now into the pits comes Roberto Gamba, making his first pit stop of the race. And let's see how quick the stop will be for the Italian driver. Had a good season in GP2, hence why he's managed to get into the Marussia seat. And he comes out down in 19th position. So now pretty much almost right at the back, just ahead of Cameron Anderson. Oh no, and you could just see that coming, and Anderson's gone wide. He's lost a bit of his front wing, and now he's going to have to go into the pits. That was just unfortunate. You could just see that coming. And Anderson had to take avoidtive action there, otherwise he would have just clipped him there. Went wide, and then lost a bit of his front wing right about there. And there it goes. Now Anderson's going to have to go through the whole lap with a damaged front wing. Not been an ideal debut for the British driver. The 2012 GP2 champion. As now into the pits comes VEDRINA for McLaren. And let's see how quick the stop will be for the Croatian driver. Changes his tyres. And where will he come out on track, and how quick will the stop be? 8 seconds, so the pit stops are obviously slightly slower, or a bit slower than they were last year. And VEDRINA, where is he going to come out onto the track? So he's down into P9 by the looks of it, I believe. And GREENWOOD, who has just come across the finish line, so it might be a bit closer as to who comes out in front. And oh no, the same thing's happened, and where's GREENWOOD? He's gone wide, but fortunately he's not suffered any damage. So that pit lane exit is pretty deadly, I have to say. And he had to take avoidtive action there, GREENWOOD, otherwise he would have clipped him. And he's lucky he didn't go as wide as Cameron Anderson, so he didn't lose any debris. As now Volker tries to make a move, and oh my word, he makes contact with the Marussia there, and of Franco LOPEZ, who, oh my word, nearly got taken out as he came back on track. And he nearly went into the Sauber, I believe, of Oliver Glazebrook. As the two Ferraris battling, they're having a horrendous race so far. That was incredibly scary. I think we're going to have to probably take another look at that in a minute, but that could have gone so much worse. So Volker tried to make a move on Franco LOPEZ and just punted him off. And actually, I think he lost his front wing, LOPEZ. And he nearly hit Oliver Glazebrook coming out of the pits. As now Carr is going to be on the move the inside. Oh, not again. It's happened exactly the same place. Carr goes into the back of Willows. I bet they'll be sick and tired of those two seeing each other all race. But Willows now drops to the back, drops behind Franco LOPEZ, who's obviously had to go into the pits. Who's always going to have to go into the pits with his wing. But Willows is going to drop to last. I don't see him managing to be able to get any points out of this race. It's been a disaster from so far, as we're looking on board with NELLER, who's catching up to the back of MIKLOS, who I don't believe is actually pitted yet out of all these guys. So I think he's going on obviously maybe a 2-stop or a 1-stop. As he comes now through the right-hand, NELLER's got so much fresher tyres, but he has to back off a little bit. Will he try to make a move on Gal into the first corner? I'm not sure. Excuse me, he's right behind him, he's got the slipstream. It's going to be a little bit late if he tries to make a move. Gal moves to the inside, NELLER tries to go on the inside, he is on the inside. Has he made the move? Oh, there's contact, and NELLER's around, and MIKLOS has lost debris, and he is out of this race. And MIKLOS becomes the first retirement of the season. Oh dear me, that's a disaster for NELLER. If he wanted any chance of maybe even having a chance of keeping up with Mackenzie, that has gone out of the window now. Oh dear me, and MIKLOS is out of this race. And NELLER tried a move that was maybe a little bit late, and unfortunately, you could just see that coming. They make contact, and then obviously NELLER then lifts Gal's car. The wheels collide with each other. They both lift up into the air, and unfortunately for Gal, loses his front wing and his right wheel. And that is Gal's race done and dusted. As we're looking on the inside, NELLER, I don't really know if you could blame anyone for that. I mean, it was maybe a bit of a late move from NELLER, but As they say, if you don't go for a gap, you're not a racing driver. You can see just the air they get. So Neller's lucky that he didn't get any damage from that impact himself, but Gal sadly, as you can see, didn't get away with it. As we're looking at Neller from his point of view. So I mean, you could say the move was on. Maybe it was a bit of a dive bomb, kind of maybe Daniel Ricciardo-esque in a way, quite a late one. But I'm not sure really if you could put blame fully on one driver for that one. It's a bit of a tough situation, to be honest. But I don't know what the stewards will have to say about that. But it was the air, and unfortunately for Gal, his first race of the season is over, and he loses both his wheels as he has to go into the wall. As we look at Will Neller, who is stranded right in the middle of the track, probably the worst place, but he's lucky the cars went round the outside of him as Neller tries to rejoin, and he now goes into the wall. So there we go, that is his race over. So the first two retirements of the season, MIKLOS, Gal and Will Neller. Now Neller's technically been retired first because he didn't get as far as Gal. So there we go, as now there's another battle between Ferrari and Force India once again, as Carl tries to make a move on the inside of, I believe this is Florian Volker coming into the first corner, and he does indeed make a stick, and now he's got the Toro Rosso of Roberto Gamba behind him. He's trying to make a move on a Ferrari. What a debut for Gamba. Imagine if he overtakes a Ferrari, but now look at that, Mackenzie and Ionescu, who's actually closed up quite close to Jay Mackenzie, that we've not been noticing because we've been looking at all the things that have been going on in the mid-pack. So Ionescu has closed up on Mackenzie here, and Mackenzie's going to get frustrated at the fact that these guys are holding him up, as Roberto Gamba is trying to get past the Ferrari, but now I think he finally does concede to Jay Mackenzie and gets out of his way, and he doesn't quite get out of Ionescu's way there. He goes a little bit wide through the corner, and now Gal's going to be lapping the Ferrari of Volker, which the current champion not going to be too pleased about, I imagine, but he makes it through Mackenzie and keeps the lead, and that is for the moment going to keep Ionescu, who still hasn't got past Roberto Gamba, who now is still, despite having the yellow flags, and we've got another car out. That is Cameron Anderson for Caterham, who is now out of the race, and that is his race done and dusted. And I don't think that was a crash. I think it looks like a mechanical problem to me as we're looking on board with him. As you can see, yep, it was indeed a puncture that unfortunately has forced the British driver on his debut for Caterham to retire from this race, and that is him done for the day on lap 19 of the race. So now got 3 retirements from this race. So we're looking on board with there's contact, and Franco Gamma's been hit from behind by Roman Quag. Oh, and I don't know if Franco Lopez had a problem because he just went really slow coming out of the exit there. I don't think Quag was actually expecting that, so he just went really slow coming off the exit there, and he'd actually already lost his front wing, Lopez, so I think he must have had an incident somewhere on the track. But Quag, I don't know if he actually got any damage from that, and did he get any damage? I can't quite tell actually if Quag got any damage from that or not, but that is like 4 retirements in about, what, 2 laps? And we had none in about 17. But that is Franco Lopez's debut for Marussia out, so we're looking on board. He just seemed to go really slow, and I guess Quag didn't expect that. And yes, and Quag did actually lose his front wing there, so Quag is going to have to go into the pits. I thought Quag had actually got away without any damage, but he hadn't. Now we look at it from that angle, and that is Franco Lopez's race done and dusted. And now we're looking at Jay Mackenzie, who comes in to the pits for his first stop of the Grand Prix. I imagine he'll be doing probably a 2-stop as we look at him coming into the pits. And now this is going to be interesting because Ionescu has yet to come in, so it'll be interesting to see as clearly Ripple's pace is quite good here, hence why the fact that Ionescu's actually kept up with him, and actually he's gone in the pits at the exact same lap, and Mackenzie just comes out still ahead of him. So we've now got a race in our hands in the battle for the win between, it looked like, the 2 Mercedes versus Mackenzie and KUBA. As we're looking at Ionescu, so KUBA currently leads this race at the moment, but he's obviously still yet to pit. Mackenzie comes out ahead of Ionescu, and here is the battle on lap 22, and Ionescu is right behind Mackenzie. Mackenzie defends, and he goes a little bit wide. Mackenzie doesn't get a great run out the corner. Ionescu could have a slipstream onto the straight, but it's not easy to overtake coming into the golf course. And now as he looks coming through the left-hander, now coming through the right, And Ionescu's got the slipstream. He's clearly got the pace over Mackenzie. Mercedes probably weren't expecting this. They dominated qualifying. Ionescu's on the inside, and there's contact. And Ionescu bumps into Mackenzie, who goes off. And Robert Ionescu takes second place and takes the, you could say, the lead, technically, of this race. Oh, my word. I don't know if Mackenzie's going to be too happy with that. That was a fierce shove from Ionescu. And, well, now he takes the lead of the race. Well, he will once KUBA goes into the pits. But as we're looking at a battle for 17th place between Ricky Parksane and De Rossa, who are getting blue flags because Ionescu is coming through, and Parksane trying to make a move on De Rossa coming into the first corner. It's side by side. Oh no, there's contact, and Parksane spins, and there's Ionescu, but he's avoided it, I think. And yes, he has. He's fortunately avoided the crash, and so has Mackenzie. And oh dear me, that was not good. Right in front of Ionescu, his heart would have been skipping a beat there. But De Rossa once again loses his front wing and is going to have to pit again for a new one. As now a battle between Joseph Willows and Julius Anderson coming into turn 1. And Anderson is holding out his own here against Willows, and he actually keeps the position. And now there's a battle ahead as Volker is battling with Glazebrook. And the Toro Rosso there, Franco Gamba. And oh, Glazebrook's gone way too deep into the corner, trying to make the move stick on Gamba. And now he's lost several positions. He drops all the way down to P16. So let's have a look. So actually Gamba had actually just come out the... Oh my word, that was so close. So he had to slow down to avoid collecting Franco Gamba, who just come out of the pits. And he had the slipstream, obviously, because he was waiting to warm his tyres at Gamba. And then Glazebrook tried the move coming into the corner, but he just braked way too late. He was never going to make the corner in a million years. And so he's just cost himself several positions there. As we're looking at Robert Hunter, who's had a great race so far, kept himself out of trouble. And oh no, and Robert Hunter has got a water leak problem, and yet now his race is officially over. That is pretty gutting for the Toro Rosso driver. He was having a great race. He'd kept himself out of trouble and was certainly on for a decent points haul. But now he's going to get absolutely zero from this race, and that is very unfortunate on his debut. He's having a very encouraging race, was Robert Hunter, but unfortunately for him, it is not going to happen. No points today. So there we go. That is his race done as Rick Yan goes past him in the Sauber. As we're looking at him coming through as he pulls off the track, heading towards the infamous Force India Ferrari spot. As we're looking at Roman Quagg, who is right behind the Lotus of David Greenwood, as they're coming now down into the first corner. The other flag is still out. I think that's for Robert Hunter's car. Quagg is on the inside, does the switchback, makes a great move on the Lotus driver of Greenwood there, and moves himself up into P7. So a good move there by the Frenchman. As we're now looking at, I believe this is WAIS KUBA, who's actually going to come into the pits for his first pit stop of the Grand Prix. And the question is, where is he going to come out on the track? That will be very, very interesting to see indeed. So let's see, shall we? So I don't know if he'll come out ahead of Ionescu. I don't think he will, because Ionescu's pace has actually been very encouraging, and well, we shall see. But where is Ionescu on track? And actually Ionescu has already gone past. So wow, he's got past really early, and so has Mackenzie. So the strategy for KUBA has not really worked out for him, and he's going to have to pit again. So it's not worked out particularly well for KUBA. So for Ionescu, this is actually looking very encouraging right now. Coming out of the pits, and now he could even come up behind VEDRINA if he's not careful, KUBA. So that stint clearly wasn't particularly good for him. As VEDRINA comes through turn 1, and KUBA I think is just about going to hold it ahead of VEDRINA, and yes he does. And VEDRINA, I don't think, is he going to try and make a move on KUBA coming into turn 3, and the answer is no, he does not, although VEDRINA is actually pitting soon anyway. But KUBA just holds the position from him, as now we're looking at the Ferrari of, I believe this is Florian Volker coming into the pits, as we now have another yellow flag out, and that is De Rossa. But it's been a pretty horrendous race for him anyway, so unfortunately his car is now broken down. Been involved in 2 collisions, as I don't think he was going to finish in the points anyway. But it's been a disastrous race for the Polish driver. He was in 17th place. He was actually, I think, last in the order actually, and he had a mechanical failure, and that is his race done and dusted as he pulls off the track coming into turn 3, and that is his race over and out. As now we're looking at, oh no, not again, it's Volker. It is Joseph Willows right behind Ricky Parksane with Volker, who's a few seconds behind this. Oh no, it's into the same corner, and well, You could just see that was going to happen, couldn't you? Just in that same corner, Ricky Harkesane loses his front wing and is going to have to pit once again for a fresh wing. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. This has been a disastrous race for Ferrari and for both Force Indias as well. And they're not getting off to the best of starts, or at least, and they're certainly at least not on good terms either. As now we're looking at the battle between the two Ferraris now, as Volker is closed up to Willius after that collision with Harkesane. And now Volker's going to try and move into the exact same corner. Oh no, not again. Oh dear me, this is horrendous. I mean, I don't know what to say. They're just losing their mind. It must be the heat. No, it must be the food or something. I don't know, but they've just gone absolutely mental today, the Ferrari. So Willius loses his front wing. Volker spins, so Willius is going to have to pit again. So he's going to be dead last. And oh no! And Volker involved in another collision. I mean, I shouldn't really laugh, but the amount of collisions that they've been involved in today is absolutely laughable. And now Volker's going to make a move on Julius Anderson on the inside, and oh, they've gone wide, and they've spun off again. Oh dear me, they really need to calm themselves down. The two Ferraris, both Willius and Anderson. Willius and Volker, sorry, I should say, but Anderson's been involved, sadly Julius, and Volker's not letting him go easily. Very frustrated, but Julius... Oh, and he loses his front wing because Volker's not letting him out, and oh dear me. They might as well just retire the car because they're not really going to get anything out of this race, our Ferrari. As Volker now comes out, and oh no, he's got to wait for more cars to come by, although it doesn't seem like there's any cars. Oh, actually, no, that was Willius, in fact, just come by. And oh dear me. And he now rejoins down in pretty much last position right now. As now Alex Southgate comes in for his, I imagine, his final stop of the race. And yep, his final stop, lap 33 of the race, 29 laps of fuel, so that will get him, I think that, yeah, that will get him to the end. Fairly comfortably, as we're looking at a battle for 6th place between Rick Yan and David Greenwood. Rick Yan, who's had a very impressive race for Sauber. He's kept himself to himself. One of the few drivers who's actually avoided any collisions in this race. And as he's coming now down into the right-hander, and Yan's on the inside, can he make it stick? No, he can't. He's still behind Greenwood. Obviously, Yan will still be having to pit before the end, and I imagine Greenwood will be doing the same thing. As we're now looking at him coming into the penultimate corner, he goes he goes wide, Greenwood, and Yan could sense an opportunity here. He's not careful, but no. But he's going to have a good run coming off into the final corner. Now Greenwood has got a terrible run, and his tyres must be off the cliff right now because they're on similar fuel. So this is for position, and Greenwood's now going to try and make a move back on Yan into the first corner. And is he going to make it stick? I don't think he has quite. It's still side by side, but I think no. Yan has actually completed it now, and now Ricky Harkesane is right behind him now, trying to make a move. As Greenwood's still trying to make a move back on Yan, but he can't quite do it. As now Ricky Harkesane goes around the outside and unlaps himself past Greenwood there. He won't be too happy with that at all, as there's Alex Southgate behind him as well, as Willius now down on the inside trying to unlap himself as well, trying to get past Southgate, who himself is behind Greenwood, but Southgate is going to the end. So this is still for position as Greenwood defends again, coming into the penultimate corner, but he's going to get another poor run. His tyres are clearly done, Greenwood. He needs to pit, otherwise he's going to struggle to get to the end of the race. But the two Ferraris are once again could be battling each other soon, as now Southgate has made the move stick on Greenwood, and Greenwood's going to try and get it back into the first corner, and he can't quite do it as the Ferraris manage to hold themselves off from battling each other, well, for the moment anyway, as they're now going to try and lap Greenwood, who needs to just pit ASAP because his tyres are completely gone, and he's just getting nowhere with them right now. As there is actually the Mercedes of, I believe that is the two Mercedes of Mackenzie and KUBA, who's going to be pitting in a couple of laps time. So Mackenzie has not gained on it. I mean, look at the gap, it's actually nearly 8 seconds. So the pace of the Mercedes is not quite as good as we expected, as KUBA makes it on the inside of Mackenzie and just about avoids contact and takes the position, but it doesn't matter anyway. But Mackenzie won't be happy with that because KUBA is actually pitting this lap. So and Inescu obviously will still be pitting, but I don't think he's going to be pitting yet. But KUBA makes the move past Mackenzie and now comes into the pits. Traffic certainly playing its part in what's been quite exciting, actually, Australian Grand Prix. As we look at KUBA coming into the pits for the final time on lap 40. So we've got 18 laps to go. KUBA now comes in, changes his tyres, and let's see where he comes back out onto the track. And 7.3 second stop, so pretty quick there from the Mercedes crew. So I imagine he'll come out in P3, because I believe VEDRINA still has to pit one more time before the end of the race, even if he does go by. As KUBA now does come out of the pits and rejoins in P3, as we're now looking at the leader Robert Ionescu comes in for his final stop of the Grand Prix. So the question is, will he? I think he will probably come out ahead of KUBA, but KUBA surely is going to be right on his back, because he'll have fresher tyres. So this is going to be very, very interesting indeed. So Mackenzie, who I don't believe is actually pitting, will keep the lead of the race. And let's see where he comes out on track. So Mackenzie goes by in P2, so he's not got a massive lead. He won't get ahead of him in the pit stop, that's for sure. There is KUBA. So I believe Ionescu will still come out ahead of KUBA, but KUBA is going to have the fresher tyres for the moment. So Ionescu needs to nail these first couple of laps. As KUBA now comes down the front straight, but Ionescu, I think, is going to get out ahead of KUBA, and he's already gone through turn 1, and yes, he has. He's got out pretty comfortably ahead of KUBA. So Ionescu, for the moment, I think is going to take the lead of the race once Mackenzie has pitted. As we're looking at Rick Yan, who comes into the pits for the final time for Sauber. And let's see where he comes out. He's had a good race, so he pits for the final time, lap 43, only 15 laps to go. He'll come out, he'll certainly come out in the points, but I think he'll come out, is it 8? He'll finish probably about 8th, 7th, I think. At the moment he's probably going to come out in P7 by the looks of it. And he comes out, as you know, in P8, but I believe Carr will have one more stop to go. I'm surprised he's still racing, to be honest, with the amount of stuff he's been involved in this race. As we're looking, as Franco Gamba goes a bit deep into the penultimate corner, and that hands the position to Greenwood there. As now Mackenzie is going to come into the pits for the final time. There's a yellow flag out somewhere on the track, and it's Joseph Willows who is out of the race. And well, it's been a pretty much horrendous. It couldn't really have gone worse for Ferrari today, and unfortunately, Joseph Willows is now out of the Grand Prix. And looks like it was a mechanical failure. It would be certainly a weird place to have a crash. Well, not exactly weird, and nope, it was indeed a mechanical failure, and that ends Joseph Willows' race, who pulls off to the side of the track, just coming down the front straight, and that is his race over and out. So there we go. Now Mackenzie comes in for his final stop of the race. Now this will be very interesting to see where he comes out on track, because he's going to have a lot fresher tyres. Ionescu has already gone past, so I'm not sure that Mackenzie's going to have time to close down on Ionescu. I think Ionescu has probably got this one in the bag, unless he makes some serious mistake. But Mackenzie, I reckon he probably could get second place of KUBA, because he's going to have so much fresher tyres, so he can really go through them on the last few laps. So let's have a look and see. As he comes out in P3, so he comes out a fair bit behind KUBA, but he'll still have much fresher tyres. As now Franco Gamba set to come in for his first pit stop, and Roberto Gamba, who actually doesn't have to pit again. So Roberto Gamba is going to take 10th place at the moment. So he, on his debut for Marussia, could take points, just ahead of actually his cousin there. So that might be an interesting talk after the race. That is for sure. But wow, so that's been a great race so far for Roberto Gamba. As now Franco Gamba, his cousin, now comes into the pits. And let's see where he comes out on track. I don't know if he'll be able to close on him on time, but as I said, he'll have fresher tyres, so I mean, you never know. There's been so many mistakes this race, so you just don't know what's going to happen, really. So anyway, Gamba makes his stop, 6.8, quite quick that one. Comes out of the pits, and he looks like he's probably going to stay in, it looks like P11. And indeed he does, as now we're looking at Rick Yan right behind Alex Southgate in a battle for 6th place there. As now WAIS KUBA is trying to lap him, and you can see Mackenzie has caught up to KUBA, who's 13 seconds behind. So KUBA's pace has been pretty horrible since he pitted. As now Mackenzie tries to make a no! And Mackenzie makes an unbelievable dive bomb on his teammate there. He really didn't want to wait much longer, and somehow they've got away with damage, but KUBA drops down to 3rd position, so Mackenzie takes back 2nd. He isn't going to get the win, but he's going to get 2nd, and well, that was unbelievable. I mean, I was expecting him to go past Glazebrook there, They just absolutely launched it down the inside of KUBA. It was never really going to work, and somehow they both avoided damage there. I have no idea how. That was very, very lucky indeed. And he launched up the inside of the Sauber, and wow, as I said, they are very, very lucky indeed that they have not got any damage from that. My goodness. But anyway, we are here on the final lap, and Robert Ionescu, who's got a comfortable lead for Red Bull. I don't think anyone really expected anyone but a Mercedes to win. I think from certainly the polls we had before the race, everyone suspected it would be a Mercedes win. But Ionescu's pace was, I mean, the strategy was pretty good as well, but the pace of the Red Bulls, definitely a surprise to a lot of people. And Ionescu is 14.5 seconds clear of Mackenzie. That is amazing, considering well how dominant Mercedes were in testing. They topped all 4 days, with KUBA topping all 4 days as well. But wow, so this is going to send an interesting. This is going to be a shot essentially from Ionescu to the Mercedes drivers for sure, if he wants to win the championship this year. As he now comes down through the back straight. It's now down to 13.7. So Mackenzie obviously on the fresher tyre, still closing. But Ionescu needs to make a major mistake. But remember what happened in China last year when he took his first ever OC victory. He had a problem on the final lap, which fortunately wasn't terminal enough for him to pull off what he did. Actually, I think after the checkered flag, but not before it. But anyway, as he comes now down through this last section of the track, he comes into the penultimate corner. Now Robert Ionescu comes round the final right-hander. He now comes down the final straight, and in the first race of the 2014 season, the first race of the V6 hybrid era, Robert Ionescu wins the Australian Grand Prix. Congratulations to him. What a race that was for the Romanian driver. Now Mackenzie comes round the final corner and is set to take second place. A bit frustrating really. He took pole position, just didn't quite work out for him today, or WAIS KUBA. Ricky Parkinson, whose car is somehow still alive after all the batterings it's taken, comes across the line in P12. Southgate comes across the line in P6, a good race from him. And Rick Yan, very impressive for Sauber in 7th. 8th place is Almar Carr, amazingly, despite all the collisions he was involved in. WAIS KUBA in 3rd, and Oliver Glazebrook set to come across the line in 13th place. Not a particularly great race for him. And Florian Volker, a nightmare race for the reigning world champion, comes across the line in P14. David Greenwood set to take his first points of the season for Lotus. Not a bad race, I guess you could say, from Greenwood, as he comes now through the final corner and is now set to take the points, and is now set to take 9th place for Lotus. And Roberto Gamba, what a race from the Italian driver. On his first race in the OC, he takes 10th place for Marussia. What a race by Roberto there. VEDRINA just beats Quark to P4. So VEDRINA 4th and Quark P5. Julius Anderson set to come across the line in last place in his debut for Caterham, as he comes round the final corner, as there is behind him the Toro Rosso of Franco Gamba, who's set to come across the line in 11th position. And there we go. That is the race over. So now we're going to take a look at the full race results and the standings from the Australian Grand Prix. So here are the full race results: Robert Ionescu winning with Jay Mackenzie 2nd, WAIS KUBA 3rd, VEDRINA in 4th, Quark in 5th, Southgate 6th, Yan 7th, Carr 8th, Greenwood 9th, and Roberto Gamba completing the points in 10th, with the Franco Gamba in 11th place, with the fastest lap being set by Jay Mackenzie, 1:27.2. And here's the rest of the order, with Rifki Harkstein in 12th, Oliver Glazebrook in 13th, Florian Volker in 14th, Julius Anderson in 15th, with Joseph Willers, KIROSHIMA de Rossa, Robert Hunter, Franco Lopez, Cameron Anderson, MIKLOS and Will NELLER being the retiring from the Australian Grand Prix, becoming the first retirements of the season. So there we go. That is the race results, and here are the driver standings. So Ionescu obviously 1st, Mackenzie 2nd, KUBA 3rd, VEDRINA 4th, Quark 5th, Southgate 6th, Yan 7th, Carr 8th, Greenwood 9th, and Roberto Gamba 10th, with Franco Gamba in 11th place. As we look at the second half of the order, which will be the same as obviously the results, with Ricky Harkstein 12th, Oliver Glazebrook 13th, Florian Volker 14th, Julius Anderson 15th, and then Willers, de Rossa, Hunter, Lopez, Anderson, Cal, and NELLER. The constructor stand, with Mercedes 1st with 33, Red Bull 2nd with 25, McLaren 3rd with 20, Williams 4th with 10, Sauber 5th with 6, Force India 6th with 4, Lotus 7th with 2, Marussia with 1, with Toro Rosso, Ferrari and Caterham so far the only teams yet to score any points. So there we go. That has been the Australian Grand Prix. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to vote for your driver of the day and give the race a rating out of 10. Thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you for the next round of the season, the Malaysian Grand Prix at the Sepang International Circuit. Thanks everyone for watching on the GP4 OC channel. I've been George, and we will see you for round 2 Malaysia. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.